Welcome to the Beyond the Headlines podcast. In this episode, Dr. Nada Elbuluk, president of the Skin of Color Society, updates listeners on what's been happening at the society and provides a recap of its recent media day in New York City. Welcome, Dr. Elbuluk, and thank you for joining us. What should physicians know about current social media skincare trends?
The first lecture was sort of the what's hot and what's not. And I think that was really good at pointing out like all of these social media trends that come up, and a lot of which just don't have enough scientific rigor behind them that people jump on the bandwagon of. And so I guess the take home for physicians would be, you have to be aware of what our consumers and patients are hearing, because they're coming into the office asking about things like beef tallow and snail mucin and all this random stuff because they're hearing it on social media. So I think we need to be aware of what they are hearing so we know how to respond to it and respond with like what's scientifically based and what's not. So I think that lecture was good for that. And I think they brought up some things that are still in a world where they're being studied more, but may become more part of what we do, like exosomes. I thought that was good that they brought that up, because I mean, there's still a wide range of comfort and, degree of use with that currently.
Are aesthetic treatments safe for skin of color patients?
For our lecture, we focused on aesthetics and skin of color. And so, I think one of the take homes that we are always trying to impress is that patients of color are interested in cosmetic treatments. They are seeking them out, and the data shows that. And so I think we have to be very responsible in knowing how we can safely and effectively treat them to meet their cosmetic needs. And for, those practicing in practice where they're overseeing others, like mid-levels, for example, I think making sure that they are well-trained in understanding that, adjustments have to be made when treating different skin colors and skin types to avoid adverse effects. I think we talked about a lot of different treatments, injectables, including Botox and filler. We talked about radiofrequency and ultrasound therapy. We talked about chemical peels, all of which can be safely done and effectively done, but all of which could also go very wrong if done in the wrong hand or if not done properly. And I think for the devices, in particular, again, I think people have to know the interest is there, but it's not all like a recipe cookbook type thing where you do the same thing on everybody. You have to adjust parameters. You have to know how to modify things when you're dealing with pigmented skin.
Are special considerations needed for skin of color patients who undergo radiofrequency microneedling in light of recent FDA warnings?
I think what that warning really stands for all skin types, but I think one of the things that we worry about a little more in darker skin is the pigmentary changes. And so neither device, radiofrequency or ultrasound, is targeting melanin. And so if anything is too intense or too aggressive, you risk a burn happening. And if that happens in a person of color, your discoloration that's going to happen is going to be more severe and way more long lasting typically than in a lighter skinned person. So, with that FDA warning, the part of it concerning burns, definitely the discoloration sequelae we would, be trying to avoid even more so in darker skin, just because of how long lasting it would be and how severe that could be. So I would say that's the only kind of piece of it that maybe, you could pay a little more attention to with people of color. But some of the other stuff like nerve irritation and things like that, that can happen again to anybody. And I think that warning was appropriate.
Please share some highlights from other Skin of Color Society Media Day lectures.
We've never had clinical trials for, there's no FDA approved drug for any scarring alopecia. And so with this disproportionately affecting people of color, we've always been more limited in terms of our treatment options. But I thought they did a really good job of talking about current off-label use, like things like JAK inhibitors that are being looked at, and hopefully down the road will be looked at more formally. And I think the last lecture did a really good job talking about the whole controversy on skin cancer and sunscreen in skin of color and how to advise people of color on sunscreen. And I think the take home, and this I think is relevant at the dermatology level too, is that you should be talking to all your patients of color about sunscreen. And even though we're still trying to tease apart understanding the sunscreen, skin cancer, skin of color relationship, we know regardless that one, skin cancer happens in skin of color, but also sunscreen serves multiple purposes in patients of color, including, pigmentary concerns, aging concerns, et cetera. So I think that was an important take home from that when people are advising their patients.
What's new and exciting at the Skin of Color Society?
We have done a lot of exciting things in 2025 with more to come in 2026. So, this year was really the launch of our Center for Leadership, which is really being led by Dr. Vicky Barbosa and co-chaired with Dr. Katrina Abubara. And so, Dr. Barbosa had that vision during her presidency, but the implementation and rollout has really been happening during this year. And so that's been really impactful because we've been able to work with supporting medical students. We gave out over 40 scholarships to medical students who want to pursue dermatology through the DOTS program, which is Dermatologists of Tomorrow Scholarship. So that's very novel and innovative and exciting for us. We had our first breakfast symposium for them at our symposium the day before the AD last year. There's also our 2 resident scholarships we were able to give out for the first time. And then there's a whole arm for fellows, meaning people who are already practicing dermatologists. So we had our first in-person leadership retreat this past July, which was very successful. And we had our first installation of close to 15 dermatologists who did that. So that's been a really exciting area of growth. For me, during my presidency, I've pretty much had 3 areas of focus that I've wanted to do. The first is service. And so I'm very passionate about service, and I wanted to launch a national service platform, actually not just national, but also international. So this program is called SOCS Serves. And so this was approved by the board in May, and we will be seeing implementation of that more so coming out in 2026. So this year's been a lot of, the creation of the idea, getting it approved, and beginning to implement it. But SOCS Serves will have 2 arms. One will be called SOCS Serves the Pathway, and that will be creating community service initiatives to do educational events, again, globally, to educate K through 12 students and also college students about medical careers and, of course, particularly dermatology. And so we're really excited about that. And so that'll, again, like I said, roll out next year. And the idea is that people who are members of SOCS who want to do a service event in their particular local space will get a toolkit from us. And so if you say, you know what, I want to go talk to this 4th grade class at this school, they can, apply to us. We will send them the PowerPoint lecture, the handouts, if it's going to be an interactive workshop, whatever they need for that, t-shirts, it'll just be a whole kit of things that makes it super easy for you to do a service event in your local town. The other arm of SOCS Serves will be SOCS Serves the Community. And that'll be to give lectures and workshops and be part of health fairs and things like that, again, in our local community to educate diverse populations about dermatologic conditions. And so that will be very clinically focused. And so one is really about our workforce and diversification of the workforce and that pathway. The other is about our community and educating people on dermatologic issues. And so again, similar, they apply, we would have different topics. So they say, you know what, I want to give a lecture at my local YMCA about skin cancer or sunscreen. So we'll have sort of everything prepared for them. We'll send it to them and they can do a local event. And so the idea is that on a grassroots level, we are able to reach hundreds and thousands of people over time through these service programs. So that's my initiative that I'm really proud of and excited about. So we'll see more of SOCS Serves rolling out in 2026. My other big area of passion has been global expansion of the Skin of Color Society and really increasing our visibility and presence internationally. And so we're doing that through a couple ways. The first is that we are now having Skin of Color Society symposiums at meetings across the world. So we had our first one in Dubai this past spring, and then we had our second one at the EADV in Paris this past September. And so that's the first time we've ever had a SOCS symposium at a meeting like that. And so now we are formalizing that program through our Global Council committee, and I've been working closely with that chair to do so. So next year we plan to have 5 international symposiums across the world. And so across different continents too. So we'll be in South America, we'll be in Asia, we'll be in Europe, we'll be in Australia. The following year, we plan to be in Africa. So we are really just trying to literally expand globally everywhere with our presence. And in doing so, expose people to Skin of Color Society expose people to Skin of Color education and topics. All of the symposium will be speakers who are members of the Skin of Color Society. So we're very excited about our global expansion. The other thing we're doing is the Global Council. And so that's going to launch in February of 2026. So Global Council is going to be a council of leaders from different organizations across the world that are also dedicated to skin of color populations. So we will have leaders, presidents or vice presidents from all these different groups come together. And it's really meant to create a network of leaders who are dedicated to skin of color under the SOCS umbrella. And we will try to meet virtually at least twice a year, with our plan to have our first in-person meeting at the World Congress in 2027. And there really hasn't been any organizing body that's connected all these people that are working on skin of color. So I'm very excited about that. The other thing we're doing is we're working with Glowderm, which is a really wonderful organization that is part of ILDS that does a lot of global dermatology work. And so we are going to partner with them under SOCS Serves to do international service events. We're also going to partner with them on a webinar series that they do. So we're going to do a SOCS times Glowderm webinar series where we're going to have some topics that are related to both global dermatology and skin of color. We did a podcast episode with them earlier this year that I hosted. So a lot of global outreach. And then, my third area of passion is just membership. We obviously want to grow the society, grow our members, and really work on recruitment and retention of members over time. So those are the big initiatives under my presidency. There's a lot that we've continued to do, which happened in 2025. So this was our second year of the President's Book Club. I selected a book on procedures in cosmetic dermatology and skin of color by Andrew Alexis. So our book club allows 2 years of residence to get a free dermatology textbook of color that the president picks. So that year is in our second launch. Our regional networking program continues to be successful. We have regional networking events across the country. I just held one in LA, and we had one in Detroit, and we have one coming up in Minnesota. Our podcast is also doing really well. So we have the SOCS Savvy podcast, which we have a lot of great topics we discuss, and that's now in its second year. So we're very proud of that growing, and we have a lot of engagement there. And then all of our other awards, we have our research awards that we give out every year, including a mid-career award we do with Sanofi. That's still happening. We have our advocacy committee working on several things. We have our mentorship and observership programs are still going strong. So those have been big pillars of what we do. We have a patient and a public education committee doing a lot of great work. We just had Media Day, which we just talked about. So that's been going really well. And I think those are a lot of the highlights. So, SOCS has grown so much. So we have a lot of amazing programs in many spaces focused on education, advocacy, mentorship, research, all of those things. And then now we're adding leadership and service with our 2 latest things.
Tell us more about some upcoming Skin of Color Society events.
So another great program, which is now entering its third installment, is our Diversity in Dermatology Meeting the Challenge Summit. And so that summit will take place in Washington, D.C. this December. This will be the third summit, and each one has had its own theme. And so we are very excited about continuing to support that, which is led by Drs. Valerie Harvey and Valerie Callender. So we'd like to invite people to come to that meeting as well and be part of that work. And in addition to meeting the challenge, we have a diversity in clinical trials mentoring program that we've been doing with the NMA, which had its second cohort, now going into its third actually this year. And so that's also been a really phenomenal program and a great partnership with NMA as well.
How can Dermatology Digest viewers get more involved with the Skin of Color Society?
We would love to have as many people as involved as possible. So they can go to our Skin of Color Society website and join. This is actually our time where we're doing our membership drive. We have a drive called Each One, Reach One, Grow as One, where we're trying to really one by one bring people into the society. So if anyone's interested at any level, we encourage them to join. Membership is super easy on our website. And once they join, let us know what they're passionate about. We, try to place people on committees that are things that, speak to them. And so we want people to again, be engaged and do what they're passionate about. So it's really that easy. And even if someone's doesn't know as much about the society, you can, follow us on our social media platforms, listen to the podcast, and start to at least acquire a little bit of that knowledge and taste of what we do. But of course, we'd love to bring them in as members as well and just continue to grow together and work on these different spaces together.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Beyond the Headlines.